Hello, everyone, and welcome to the next session of From Nothing, Luxunvur's story. Now, we're going to skip ahead a little bit to the next day, where, as you awaken, as always, you awaken early enough to go get breakfast if you'd like.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go ahead and roll. Okay. Breakfast today seems as though it is lots of pastries along with a lot of different fruits that are assorted with them. And while at first it seems like that would be a pretty minor breakfast, everything is remarkably fresh. You suspect there might be some sort of harvest festival going on, or maybe there just happens to be a whole lot of fresh produce right now. But if you eat it, you gain 5 temporary hit points.
I'll take it.
I figured. Alright. Then, is there anything you'd like to do before you head to class?
I make sure Wash is up and ready for class, as it's probably her first day for class.
Yes, today is her first day. So you knock on her door. This is after you've already eaten breakfast. She's not in there.
Oh. I think it's probably safe to assume she found her way to the classroom, so I will head that way.
Okay. As you go to Ariakis' sanctuary, into the monk classroom, sure enough, Wash is there. She is looking around in wonder, much like you did when you first arrived. You see Ariakis is near the altar, the far side of the room, between the two doors. And as you enter, he turns and looks at you and says, "Levi."
Good morning.
"Good morning. You have met Wash, our new student.
That's correct.
One of the oldest adages is to teach is the best way to learn. You will guide Wash up the moss trees."
Oh, shit. I will give it my best attempt.
"Good. That is all." And he turns and resumes his meditation, looking out the two doors. Wash looks at you, and she says, "What does that mean?"
We're gonna walk up a tree today.
She tilts her head and looks confused.
Right. Yeah. It's probably better off to show you. And I will attempt to walk up the tree.
All right. Roll me a wisdom plus proficiency check.
Okay. So what, like perception works? Oh, no, that's not perception.
Wisdom
Yeah, it is
plus
perception.
proficiency is perception, yeah.
Yep. 24.
24. Yeah, you walk up the tree. You remember how to settle yourself, how to calm your nerves, how to focus on just what it is that you're doing and nothing else. And step by step, you walk up the moss tree. Now, how far up do you go?
Probably like 50 feet.
Okay. When you get about 50 feet up, you turn and look back, and Wash is looking up at you, and her eyes are wide. And she says, in Primordial, in Aquan, she says, "I never learned to do that."
Me neither, until I got here. It's a lot harder than it looks.
She looks at the tree, and she, puts her hand on it and touches it and presses on it a little bit, like as if to test it, and she says, "It's so slick. I don't understand. What did you do?"
It's not about understanding. It's about not thinking. You just have to be comfortable and clear your mind of worry.
She furrows her brow at you and she says, "Let me see your shoes."
I'm not wearing any.
When she sees that, she frowns, puts her foot up on the tree, and she tries to concentrate on what you said to clear her mind. And you now are very aware of what Iriakis felt like when you watch her into the water immediately.
This is kind of almost a surreal moment for him.
All right, so how this is going to work is you're going to describe to me how you try and teach her, and I'm going to roll her wisdom check, and her DC is going to be based on how you do as a teacher.
Oh, brother. Okay, how to teach this? So he'll say, "What are you thinking about when you step on the tree?"
She looks up at you and she says, "It's a sheer wall. It's wet. How could it hold me up? How is it holding you up? I don't believe what I'm seeing, I guess."
That's okay. Everyone is skeptical at the start. It took me quite longer than I'd like to admit to do this. Just focus on your breathing and each step you take. Don't think about whether you can do it or not. Slowly. Breathe in, step.
She frowns, puts her foot up on the tree, and tries to do as you say. Okay. I had decided that the DC was 17.
Oh, brother.
She rolled a natural 15. So, you watch as it takes a lot for her to take her second foot off of the ground, to take it out of the water that is shallowly pooled around her feet. But you watch as she lifts her foot up, and that moment of getting horizontal, that first step up onto the tree, you remember is the hardest. She lifts her foot up, and she plants it in front of her other one on the trunk of the tree. And she realizes that she is now facing vertical, and her eyes widen, and she says, "I did it!" And then,
He just smiles.
all right. I would like you to roll me 3 rolls here.
Mhm.
The first is a charisma check.
Oof, okay.
The second is a wisdom plus proficiency roll.
Okay.
And the last is a constitution check.
Okay, charisma's okay. Wisdom plus proficiency.
So basically another
That's
perception.
bad. Yep, that's real bad. And then Constitution, what?
Just a
Just
con
regular?
check. Just a con check.
Ooh, all those are bad.
Okay.
All those are real bad.
You get through about halfway through the day, and Wash, the most she gets is about 2 steps up onto the tree. And you can tell she's getting frustrated. She can feel like she's almost got it and then loses it over and over and over. And you remember that very same frustration. Only you were able to kind of steel yourself and believe in yourself to push all those thoughts aside. It seems as though Wash is having a hard time. And when it comes to about maybe 12 o'clock in the afternoon, 6 hours of doing this already, with that con check of 6, you find yourself drained as you have been standing on this trunk, trying to guide her through the steps. And while it was a great teacher for yourself to stand there and focus on what she was doing, you suddenly realize your legs are gelatin.
Oh boy.
You feel shaky. You feel fatigued. Your calf muscles ache terribly. You need to get down, and it's going to be hard to do so. Wash looks up at you, and she says, "Are you alright?"
Yeah, I'm fine. It's just I haven't done this for this long consecutively.
To get back down, I need you to make a wisdom plus proficiency roll, but it is at disadvantage.
Just gonna jump in the water.
Okay, you just jump.
Just jump.
Okay. You don't make a fool of yourself. Roll me acrobatics. To see if you... basically just don't roll a 1.
Yeah, we're good. 16.
Okay. You leap from the tree, and seeing you fall, Wash says, "Wait, the water's shallow!" But you find yourself submerged in the strange, surreal otherworldliness that is the water of this place. And you can swim back up to the surface with no trouble.
What were you saying, Wash? Sorry.
She looks at you and she's very confused. You know that the highest she got was only a few feet off the ground, so it's likely she never fell far enough to see how the water changes. And she says, "Why are you... the water's so shallow, why did you jump?"
It's... the best way to explain it is it's magic.
She just kind of shrugs with her head shaking, and she says, "Okay."
Yeah, I don't really understand much of it either. I just know it will change based on if you fall or try to swim.
Can we take a break?
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, I think.
She she is grateful to sit down against the trunk for a minute, and you can see that her own muscles are shaking. She has the quaking of the fingertips. Her face is flushed and tired. You remember this training was not easy on you either. And as you sit here taking a breather, I'd like you to roll me a perception check. A real perception check this time.
Okay. 16.
Roll me a D100.
Oh, a D100, you say? In the temporal plane.
64. One moment. Okay. Oh, hold on. Okay. Wash sits there, leaning against the trunk, and she kind of leans her head back against it, letting him shut for just a split second. And as you two are taking this short rest, with a 16 on your perception, the sanctuary is quiet. There's no sign of Iriakis anywhere around.
Mm-hmm.
But you see... well, it's weird. Of course it is weird. Everything here is weird. As you look down, you're kind of leaning against a tree, and as you look down at the ground below you, the rocky floor that's just beneath the surface of the water, you realize it's almost as though you're looking through the rock, looking at the shadows of what's in the water below. You see something large, deep in the water, moving.
How large are we talking?
from here, it is the shape and silhouette as if you're looking down at a whale, but it is only the shadow of it.
Fuck my curiosity. I look to Wash. Are you good at swimming?
She raises an eyebrow and gestures to the strange barnacle-like formations on her skin, and she says, "I'm a Triton?"
Yeah. It was more. Just follow me, and I'll dive into the water.
Okay. When she sees you jump into the water, you can't help but hear like a gasp as you basically dive into what looks like a rocky floor. But you know that it gives way, and you, with no notice of the stone floor, are swimming, submerged. What's your constitution modifier?
+3.
Okay. You hear the in the water behind you. And then there's a moment where I need to roll to see if Wash decides to try it. Okay.
To try what?
You hear another.
Okay.
And you glance behind you and you see Wash has her eyes tightly shut as she's dove into the water. You see her, she opens them very carefully, and then they grow wide as she sees the massive undersea depths of Ariakis' sanctuary. Roll me another perception.
Alright. God, okay, 9.
9.
Just can't win.
Now that you are down in the water and the distant, seemingly not quite sun's light, but the light that seems to fill this entire area casts down into the waters, you look and you do see the shape of this massive creature. You can't tell what it is. It's kind of a grayish, almost maybe a brown or a grayish yellow, or it's gray and yellow stripes, something like that. But it is huge. Roll me a nature check at disadvantage because you rolled a really bad perception check.
This is true. Oh, that's an advantage. Hold on, sorry. We'll roll a third time and then take the lowest. Which is that, I think.
Yep. You don't have a fucking clue what this is. It's a huge sea creature.
Can I try something?
Yes. Maybe.
So
I can't say yes or no until I know what it is.
So it was Myriad I met and talked to last time, right?
Yes.
I'm gonna see if I can't reach out and bug him.
Okay.
Just gonna be like, just in my head, I don't know if this is how I do this. Are you around? Can you hear me here? Myriad?
Roll me a base, just a wisdom check.
8.
8.
I am
You think
not
that
rolling tonight.
you think that you have no perception of if you're hurt or not. Beside you, Wash swims. She's much faster than you in the water. And you see that now that she is accustomed to the idea of swimming below the surface of the rock, she swims up next to you and around you. And you hear her speaking in Aquan, which translates perfectly in water, it turns out. Who knew?
Who would have guessed?
She says, "How is this possible?"
Again, the best I could tell you is this is magic. I don't know how it works.
Why are we down here?
I'll point to the big shadow thing.
She whips around and she looks, and you see her head kind of jerks back. Let me make sure she knows what this is, because she has a good chance of it. She does. She turns and she looks at you, and she says, "What's a Nauticryl doing down here?"
I don't know what that is, so I could not tell you.
"A ship eater."
Oh. There's a phoenix down here, too.
"What? How?"
A firebird?
I need to stop asking how.
There's a lot of... Oh. I suppose I can't actually tell you that yet.
She is confused. And then you see she turns and she looks around back to watching the Nauticryl, as she had described it. It is massive. And now that she has said the name, or rather what it is, you can see that this large... It doesn't quite look like a fish. It is vaguely the shape of the whale, but its tail splits into hundreds of narrow but remarkably sinewy and strong-looking tentacles.
Ooh.
It does not look like a creature one would want to cross in dark waters. You also see, with your high passive perception, now that you have a moment to look at it as well, and you're not moving, it shows scars. A lot of them, all along its back. The gray and palish yellow flesh shows lines that look like weapons or chains were dragged across it. You also realize you are running out of air.
I'll slightly panic, and then, like, I point up. I'm not going to talk anymore so I don't run out of air, but I'm going to point up and just go back to the surface.
"All right, I'm right behind you," she says, and because she doesn't seem to have this problem.
Must be nice.
And we'll swim up after you.
Oh, shit.
As you emerge, and you watch Wash emerge, and then as she goes to, like, swim up, her hands suddenly connect with the strange Schrodinger's stone floor, and she's... This is the strangest place. It's both at once. And she lifts herself up out of the water until she's seated on the ground.
Yes, it is. You'll have an adventure here, and you'll learn more about it.
Have you two had enough time sightseeing? You realize Iriakis is standing beside the trunk that you just emerged by.
I figured it would be... Yes, we have.
Good. Have you claimed a tree yet, Wash? And Wash looks up at Iriakis and she says, 10 feet of one? Iriakis kind of shakes his head and says, I understand it is difficult. Do not be discouraged. This is the first lesson. It is not so much about how high you get. It is about controlling your mind, centering yourself, and emptying your brain of all thoughts. Surely, Levi explained this. And Wash nodded and said, I have a lot I think on. I'm sorry. And Iriakis just shakes his head and says, You have nothing to apologize for. Finish your rest, and back to it. And both of you watch as he doesn't walk back, he suddenly hops up onto a high branch of the nearest tree, and then hops again to a high branch of another tree, and then another. Faster and farther than it looks like he should be able to.
Hmm. Right. So, boss, something that helped me when I was trying to climb the trees is meditating first. Meditate until you have no thoughts left.
She shrugs, stands by the trunk of the tree, and sits down. And tries to meditate. Okay. You watch as she sits there for quite a while. A long time. Finally, she opens her eyes and she kind of bows her head and she says, I can't stop thinking of home. How did you stop thinking of home?
We have different ideas of home. I couldn't wait to get away from home. I haven't thought about it since I left, actually. Home was not a enjoyable place for me to be.
Why?
Family history, you could say.
She frowns as she looks at you. I did not want to leave home.
Why'd you leave home?
I had to. My sister was to be married and take over the family, and I needed to prove that I was useful. And I couldn't, so I came here.
Well then, it sounds to me like you need to... You want to prove them wrong, right?
Very much so.
The first step of doing that is climbing this tree.
She lets out a very frustrated sigh. But will set her hands on her knees again and say, all right, I will try.
You're trying too hard is the problem, I think. You need to let go instead of trying to hold on to everything. Accept that you aren't as good as you want to be. And you start from there.
She frowns deeper as she looks at the tree. She puts her hand against the moss. She looks at you again and she says, but you did it so easy.
I sat right where you are, in the same position you're in. Frustration, anger, falling from this tree, climbing, falling, climbing. Watching Iriakas stand at the top for hours and hours. So, it wasn't easy. Starting is never easy.
She lets her hand fall from the trunk and she closes her eyes. I'm going to give her advantage on this check because of your aid. That's a 19.
Okay.
She stands up. You see that her face has come calm, placid, almost peaceful. Her eyebrows have loosened and she doesn't look as anxious as she did a moment before. She sets a foot against the tree trunk, and then her other. And then she steps. Again. And again. And again, making it farther than she'd ever made before. You can see for just a split second her shoulders tense as she thinks that. But she manages to let that go quickly enough that she doesn't lose the connection with the tree. And she begins to climb.
I will attempt to follow her.
You know how to. At this point, you do not need to roll.
Okay.
You follow her up the trunk. It is a slow procession. And you see that her hips move very mechanically, as if she's afraid that a misstep will send her falling. She doesn't have the comfort yet of knowing that she's doing it right, even though she is doing it right. And when you get about 60 feet up off the tree, we'll find out what happens. 22. You see that she begins to grow more relaxed. Just as you did. She steps a little farther, a little bit more at ease, growing confident as she climbs a 90-degree angle of a slick, mossy tree trunk. It doesn't take long before, as you're walking up the tree, you suddenly emerge on the canopies, as you did, looking out over this massive, wet, mossy forest. The two of you stand atop the canopy, looking out. There, Ariakis stands, looking at the two of you, and he says, "Well done. Wash, you have learned well. But more so, Levi, to teach is the true challenge of a lesson. Come, spar with me."
Okay.
So, I need you to roll initiative.
Let's get it. 7. My dice hate me tonight.
Yeah,
Why?
they do. Ariakis,
You didn't roll much better.
Ariakis also rolled a 7. Okay. That's how it's gonna be.
Sure is. Let the wet noodle fight begin.
Ariakis does go first, as his dex is higher, which I'm sure is a surprise.
I never would have guessed.
He steps up to you in a respectful posture with one hand raised in a bear claw form, and he says, "Show me how you defend yourself." And he lashes out. It's a simple blow. It's a palm strike to the chest. That's a 17 to hit.
It misses. I just sidestep and I use one hand to kind of like wave his away.
Good. He says, "Perfect. Again." And he swings again. That is an 18 to hit.
That does hit.
Okay. You attempt like a similar move again, only this time the palm strike's just a little bit too quick, and you feel the of it hitting you in the chest. Go ahead. It's your turn.
Alright. We're gonna go ahead and attempt to do the same motion back, a palm strike.
Okay. Roll your attack.
24.
Yes, that hits.
Eh. 5.
It would deal 5 damage. Except, as the palm strike goes to connect, you see Ariakis places both of his hands on his chest, and it's almost like watching the energy of the blow soak away as if water into his hands that he casts to the side. And he says, "Good, again."
I'll follow up with another one. 16 probably misses.
A 16 does not hit, no. Now, he will strike you. This time... Okay, there's a... Okay, a 22 certainly hits. He raises a hand to palm strike you, only you suddenly feel your back foot get knocked out as he leg sweeps in a feinting attack. I need you to make a dexterity saving throw.
11. Oh boy.
11. You are flat on your back. He will then drop down to a knee and attempt to do a hammer blow on you.
He now has advantage.
Yes, he does. That's an 18 to hit on the dot.
That hits, yep.
Yes. The hammer blow goes right down into your solar plexus, and it hurts. You take 6 points of bludgeoning damage. Now it's your turn.
Okay. So I want to try to spin myself up, pushing myself off the ground, and leg sweeping him while I do it.
Okay. Roll me an attack.
Okay.
It's not a disadvantage because technically
22.
you're getting up. 22 hits. Now, let me roll a dex save for him. No way. Okay, he rolled a 12.
Yes!
He rolled so bad. All right. The old man is leg swept out, and he is now on his back.
And I'm going to attempt a hammer kick straight down.
Okay. Attack with advantage.
21.
21 hits.
Hey. Oh yeah, I gotta roll damage for both. Not that it matters.
Okay. Yeah, you land a really solid hammer blow right on the man's chest. Again, on the hammer blow specifically, he seems to redirect the force away from his chest and into his hands. On his turn, he's going to remain on the ground. He does a strange spinning kick maneuver. And as he does... Hold on. Okay, that's a 23 to hit.
That hits.
I need you to make an athletics check.
Nope, 7.
As he hooks his foot around your ankle, you suddenly find yourself grappled and unable to move as he has you in a bind. As he winds his way up, and then he is standing in front of you. You have learned well. But... And then he throws a palm strike straight at your chest. Oh, nope. That's a 14 to hit.
So as he does, I just want to put my head down, and I want him to hit the very top part of, like, where my head is the hardest, when it doesn't really affect me.
Okay. That happens. He doesn't seem to shake his hand or anything like that, because his hands are basically made of rock.
Yeah, I know. I just want him to know that it doesn't bother me.
Yes.
Still grappled then, yeah?
Your movement is 0. Yes.
Right. Can I attempt to get out of it with acrobatics?
Yes.
Okay, I will do so then.
Go ahead with acrobatics. You have to beat a 17.
14.
Oh, nope. He's got you 2 bound up.
Sure do.
Okay, you can bonus action attack if you like.
Yeah, sure. Let's do that. Punch him. Nope.
Nope, that misses.
Sure do.
Alright, he has you grappled. It does this crazy leg-twisting maneuver where he whips around behind you. You find yourself freed of the grapple, but only for a moment, as I need you to make another athletics check. You have to beat an 18.
7.
7. You suddenly feel yourself get lifted up off the ground as your body is pulled over his knee, and you are flat prone on the ground. No longer grappled, but you are prone, and his follow-up attack is at advantage. He didn't deal damage with that first attack, but it moved you a good way.
Oh, did.
That's a 19 to hit.
That hits.
Okay. You take 5 points of bludgeoning damage.
Hey. On my go, I'm just gonna stand up. I'm not gonna try to trip him again.
Okay.
I'm gonna shake it out, and I'm just like, and then I'm just gonna go for a quick 2 strikes.
Okay.
$19 on one, and a nat 1 on the other.
Well, the 19 certainly hits. No. 4. Okay. As Ariakas is winding himself up to try and follow through with his previous attack, you surge forward with another blow. You catch him right below the neck on his chest, and he... Enough. And
Just
he
give him a
kind
bow.
of puts his hands down to his side and bows back. You have learned well. And now, the two of you must find your way down. Trust your instincts. And Ariakas steps through the canopy in a spot where the branches must only just barely part, and he just whoosh, and is gone. Wash is next to you. Are you all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Only got me a couple good times.
This has been. Is every day like this?
No, every day is not like this. But there are some days like this, and they get to be tiring.
How do we get down?
We walk down, just like we walked up.
Oh. You see her shoulders slump, and she says, "Okay, all right."
You made it up here, didn't you? You're already a much better person than when you started.
Okay. She doesn't seem to take much solace in that, but she goes to the trunk where you had first climbed up, and she, gets herself ready. I'm going to roll. A natural 18. She begins to walk down the trunk. As she descends, and you descend behind her, what's going through your mind?
The excitement of sparring with Ariakas is finally starting to come down. Like, he's starting to fall from that high, and he's feeling tired, and it is understandably his muscles are starting to kind of convulse, and he's just trying to keep calm until he hits the bottom.
Okay. It's challenging to maintain control over yourself as you descend, but you have done it enough that I'm not going to demand a roll. You can roll if you'd like, but this is on you if you want.
I think he should roll, because after sparring with Ariakas, he'd be high on nerves and his muscles fatiguing. So wisdom save. So.
Yep.
16.
That is
good enough.
That is enough. It's not easy. Coming down from a forceful high is always difficult. But as the two of you make your way down the tree, all the way down to the watery surface below, near the bottom, Wash looks back at you, and she says, "Thank you for showing me what you know."
It's been a pleasure. I got to see what Iriaka sees, the progress you made, and I'm proud of you.
She blushes just a little bit. It's like a slightly darker blue tint on her pale blue skin. But she nods and says, "Thank you." I need to roll again, because she's not all the way down. Okay, she rolls a natural 17. She manages to keep her cool. And she makes it all the way to the bottom of the trunk without falling. Finally. As you descend, landing on the smooth, shallow water, rocky surface below, Iriakis is there. "I am pleased to see the two of you have made it unharmed. What are your thoughts on Wash as a student, Levi?"
I think she has a lot of potential.
"And Wash, what are your thoughts on Levi as a teacher?" And Wash looks at you, and then turning to Iriakis, she says, "He had a good way of getting the point across." You know, she's speaking common, which is a little bit staggered. She's not so good at common, but she's doing her best, as she says, "He was able to say it the way I needed it said." Iriakis nodded. "In that case, today's class is dismissed. Levi,
Yes.
tomorrow you will not be coming to class. Tomorrow you will report to Push.
Okay.
Until then, I bid both of you a good night."
Have a good night. I'll give him a bow before heading out.
He would bow back. And then, as you are leaving, Wash would turn to you, and in Aquan she would say, "Why aren't you coming to class?"
They have you go out on these free agencies. They're sort of missions to help train you.
"Oh,
It's hands-on experience versus just training in the classroom.
all right. I admit I'll be a little worried without you there."
Don't worry, Iriakis is a great teacher.
All right. I'm more worried about just having the crap beat out of me.
Admittedly, this is my first time sparring with Iriakis, and I've been here a little while now. So you don't have to worry about that.
Okay. She nods, seeming a little bit reassured. And as the two of you emerge into the Merryguard proper, out of the main hall, your afternoon is all yours. What do you do?
I'm gonna roll a Constitution check to see how he's feeling.
That's fair.
He's feeling pretty good. Feeling pretty good, apparently.
Yeah, despite the small beating and the heavy fatigue, you're feeling about as good as you can.
Yeah. Oh. Well, Wash, you feel like doing anything?
I feel like going and get a bath and laying down.
Good enough. I shall see you later then.
Thanks for everything. And she kind of smiles at you and then heads off toward the bathrooms.
Yeah, I think he's probably gonna do the same. Just gonna head to bed.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
He was hoping Wash would be down to do something. She was not, so he's just gonna retire.
Okay. All right. You go to bed. Having spent the day teaching Wash and, well, sparring and handling things as you normally would, it is a concern. Do you go to get dinner first?
Yeah, sure.
You don't have to. I'm asking
Yeah,
if you
no.
would. Okay. Let me roll. See if you get a lot of temp HP off this, because you did lose it. Yeah, you gain 6 temporary hit points for dinner. What is for dinner? That's a good question. Today, dinner are a number of flatbreads that are served fried up with all sorts of cheeses and sauces on top, and they are delicious. It's a type of food that I don't think Levi would have seen before, but it is easy to eat, and it goes down smoothly. When you do go to bed, you came out not unscathed, but better off than you have in many other days. And so there's no save I need you to roll before you go to sleep. And so the next morning, as you handle your standard affairs, and then you go to talk to Persh. Persh is at his front desk, as always, nose down in some parchments. And he looks up as you approach and he says, "Good morning."
Good morning. Yuriaka said I was to report to you this morning.
Aye, that he did. Right. So, how familiar are you with the town of Ferrum?
DM, how familiar am I with it?
I mean, you've been through it a couple times. You're not super familiar, but you know how to get to the docks and back.
I know a little bit.
All right. And how good do you think you are at spotting people who are, what's the word? Pretending imposters, as it were.
I'd like to think I'm a good judge of character.
Right. We've had some weird reports about the dockmaster over the last couple days. I need you to go investigate.
What kind of reports are we talking about?
Reports of the dockmaster being suddenly violent, which is extremely unusual. His name is, or at least the individual that people know him as, is Dockmaster Tarner.
Okay, I suppose I could do that.
Well, that's your free agency today, is to go find out what's going on with him. Will you be taking a companion with you?
Sure. Is it mandatory?
No. You can handle it solo if you have the know-how.
It might be best to accept some help for this one.
Very well. Let's see who we have available. Do me a favor. Roll me a d6.
D6. 3.
Okay. Now, roll me a d12.
2.
2. I think I know. I think I know just who to send you with. Sit tight.
Alright.
As Persh picks up the sending box, instructs you to sit down for a minute. It doesn't take long before you hear the heavy rattle of plate and chain And then rounding the corner from the left-hand side, you see a blonde-haired, stout, dwarven woman appear. Blonde hair, blue eyes. I don't know if you've paired with Sagona yet.
Nope, but I know who Sagona is.
As she rounds the corner and looks at Purse, she says, "Right, you called for me?" And Purse nods and says, "You're on free agency with Levi here." "Hey, no problem. What do we got going on?"
She asking me? Or
Yep, she's looking at you.
Oh, we have to go check on the dock master. There's reports of him just suddenly turning violent.
"Oh, I hope he does." And she quickly and deftly spins a heavy flanged mace around her wrist.
Enjoy getting physical, do you?
It's my favorite pastime.
Can be enjoyable, I suppose.
With the right partner, it sure can. She winks at you.
Let's find out if I'm the right partner then, shall we?
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks, Parsh. And Sagona will tip her head to the dwarf, and well, the dwarf tips her head to the dwarf, and Persh just kind of nods and goes back to his paperwork.
Right.
To the docks, then.
To the docks, then. Let's see what's going on down there, anyway.
Lead the way. And Sagona will follow you out of the building.
And I'll go straight to the docks.
Well, Farum is a big town. Takes a while to get to the docks, unfortunately, and there might be an event that happens to you. So I need you to roll me a D8, please.
A D8, you say?
Yes, sir.
Please stop. There we go. Nope. There we go. No, what are you doing, game? Alright, whatever, I'll just type it out. The dice thing doesn't want to work.
A 2. It is quiet. There are no random encounters that occur to you on your way to the South Docks. As you pass through the Farum Market and beyond all the businesses and small structures that line the Farum Market and its main plaza, you suddenly emerge in the South Docks, where various ships are pulling into pier, being loaded and offloaded, handled by their crews, and some of them are staying the night. Some are leaving as quickly as they got here. And as you're looking around, having just got here, Sagona next to you says, "Right, so what are we supposed to do?"
Right, so, well, first off, we start by talking to the people on the docks, finding incidents where this has happened. See what they have to say about it.
Alright, you're probably better with people than I am.
I don't know, you look quite friendly to me.
You're full of shit.
Am I, though?
I think so, but maybe. Maybe you see something others don't.
It's very possible. But, let's see. And I'll take a look around the docks, and I'll pick some random person and go up to him.
Are you looking for any criteria here, or just literally anybody?
Dock workers.
Okay. That's about as vague as it can get without actually being purely vague, so you pick a dock worker. Roll me a D100.
Alright.
10. Alright. You approach a dock worker. The dock worker you happen to have chosen is a lanky, wiry man. Balding on the head is a human male with red hair and beard. The beard comes in a little patchy. The face is a little bit acne marked. He's maybe early 20s. And as you approach, he kind of stands up and cracks his back and says, "All right, hello. How can I help you?"
Yes, I was just wondering, What is your experience with the Dockmaster?
Not much. He usually just pulls us aside if there's work that needs to be done.
You haven't had any negative incidents with him, then?
Who's asking?
The Merryguard is, sir.
Hold on.
Oh, you must be talking about the Burnell incident.
Indeed. Can you remind me what happened with the incident?
Roll me a deception check.
This is not the best. 4.
A 4. Sagona next to you, also says,
Yeah, remind us.
which is not enough to give you advantage. The dock worker looks at the two of you and says,
Well, you'd have to ask him.
And why must I do that for?
Well, who's going to give you a better story than the man himself?
Right. I need multiple stories to make sure the stories all line up.
Well, as far as I know, he walked up. I'm sorry. They talked to the. Let me see if I can get this story straight. Maybe he went down. It was in the afternoon.
and you get the feeling this man is talking out of his ass.
Right, you've been a great help.
Hey, I'm glad to have been of service.
Yes, enjoy your day, sir. And I'll turn around and look at Sagona and just kind of face palm a little bit.
He's a fat load of hell.
Yeah, sure was. Maybe we should just ask the source first.
All right.
We'll go find the Dockmaster.
Roll me investigation.
Investigation. Oh boy. All right.
You have advantage. Sagona's helping.
I don't need it. Not 20.
A nat 20. Okay. Dockmaster Tarner is a man who looks as though he could put paint to sleep.
That is awful.
Wearing dark brown tweed clothes and just has this air about him that is just the most condescending, obnoxious man. You see him standing near one of the piers. You catch sight of him and you know this must be the dockmaster, because no other individual will be at the docks with an actual clipboard. Or rather, a whole book on a clipboard. And as you approach, "Hello, sir. May I be of service to you today?"
Right, sir. I'm here to check on the incident that happened the other day.
Could you please be a bit more specific?
What was the name you gave me? Just with the other guy?
Burnell. The Burnell.
The Burnell incident.
Roll me a persuasion check.
Okay. 16.
And roll me an insight check.
Insight check. Oh, come on. Fucking 10.
The dockmaster kind of tips their spectacles and says, "Now, what is it that the Merigard Academy could have interest in regarding the Burnell incident?" "This situation was handled by the city guard."
Clearly there's more behind it if we are doing an investigation, don't you think?
"Well, if you're performing the investigation, then those reasons are up to you."
I'm just looking at him, see if he says anything else.
He's basically got his nose down in the ledger, and when he notices that you're not saying anything and not leaving, he says, "I'm terribly sorry, but I am very busy, so if you don't have any purposeful business, perhaps we can have a conversation in my off hours."
And when are your off hours?
And he actually makes that noise as he reaches down into his vest and pulls out a pocket watch, and he says, "I will be free after 4 p.m.
Time is it now?
It's like 7:30 in the morning.
Hmm. Right, so you couldn't just spare a moment to explain what happened then.
He kind of puts the pocket watch away and looks down at you over his nose, and he says, "I do not have the time to spare for students upon their own free agencies to waste my time."
Right. Just so you know, you can take, what, a minute, 3 tops? Explain to me now just what went down. Or I can keep you here into the wee hours of the morning. In your, how do you say, free hours. Asking you every question I can think of.
As he furrows his brow, I'd like you to roll me a perception check.
Kidoki. 17.
With a 17, as you spark some irritation in the man, you notice something. You notice something weird. It is as though a bit of his... Okay, I'm trying to figure out how I can describe this in a way that makes sense. He turns his head away from you, looks down at the ledger, and as he does, you can see the side of his head where his hairline meets his ear. And it's almost as if it's like a glitch or a twitch of flesh splitting and then reconnecting behind his ear.
I'm sorry, are you getting irritated there?
Oh, no, not at all. As always, it is my duty to handle the needs of any and all citizens of Farum.
Really? That's quite the 180 you did just a moment ago when you tried to push off just the students and their free agencies, wouldn't you say?
Well, as a student of the Marigard, you are not, per se, a citizen of Farum.
I live here. I have a house here. Why does that not make me a citizen?
You have a house here in Farum.
I do.
And your address?
Why is it any of your concern?
It would be some proof as to such a claim, as most students of the Marigard reside within the academy.
Right, but most students don't have parents who live in Farum.
Roll me a deception check.
God,
Sagona's next to you
please.
like, what are we doing?
Please, dear God. Oh, I watched it roll from the nat 20 to a 10.
10.
It's 10.
The Dockmaster looks at you and he says,
Right. Well, should that be the case, you can return with the guard.
Right. I think I got all I need here.
Mm-hmm.
I'll see you in your off hours.
I will see you this afternoon, then.
Indeed. And I'll take Sagona and we'll walk someplace a little secluded, away from ears.
Okay. Yeah, Sagona's like, what the fuck are we doing?
You didn't see that when he got frustrated earlier.
See what?
It's like his skin was separating itself at its neck.
Ugh.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that at all. What the
Yeah.
That's not... okay, that's not a thing humans do.
Right. So I don't think that is the actual Dockmaster. We should probably keep eyes on him all day until his off hours, just to make sure there's no funny business.
Okay.
And I kind of give her this look. I go, "Are you any good?" She's in plate mail, isn't she? Or like chain mail?
She's in splint mail. She's in heavy armor.
I hate to.
If you're gonna ask me to sneak, you can fucking forget it.
Yeah, all right. Then, what are you thinking?
Look, if we know this guy isn't the Dogmaster, why don't we just tell the guard or fucking nab him ourselves?
I suppose telling the guard could be fruitful. Nabbing him ourselves is not. It would cause too much of a scene, maybe public.
But it would be really emotionally satisfying. He was such a fucking knob.
You can't always just go based off of that. You have to
Yes,
be...
you can.
No, you have to be neutral in matters such as this.
Says who?
It's just... It's how some things just need to be handled, so there isn't a public display. Yes.
All right, fine. We'll do it your way.
How about you go and get a guard, and I'll keep watch on him until you return.
All right. I can do that.
Wonderful. I'll see you shortly.
Sagona heads off to find a guard, and you watch the Dockmaster. Roll me a perception check.
God, why do you hate me today? 12.
The docks are busy. There's a lot of people milling about on the docks, and a lot of them seem to be heading up to the Dockmaster to do business, or heading on to the docks to actually handle their own ships or be at work with crews. There's a lot of people. And as such, it's hard to keep track of the Dockmaster and everyone that he's talking to. And there is a period of time, there's a moment where I need you to roll me a D100.
Fuck.
17. Okay. One moment. Beg your pardon. There is a moment where, as you were watching the Dockmaster, supposedly, a group of individuals are walking by, and one sailor is speaking with the Dockmaster. They're in close proximity, and they're having a conversation. As the group of individuals are walking by, they block your vision of the Dockmaster and the sailor for not but just a few moments. And as you hear the sounds of Sagona approaching with armored footsteps behind her, the sailor this Dockmaster was speaking with is gone.
Huh. And there's no signs of him anywhere?
Roll me another perception check.
Why do you hate me? Fucking 15.
You swear you see just a couple flecks of blood land on the dock boards.
Oh no.
And it is at this moment that Sagona rounds the corner and says, "I got the guards."
He got someone, and I'll point fucking at him to the guards and say, there's blood on the docks. He just did something with a man.
The closest guard, a tall, well, half-orc, looks at you and looks at the Dockmaster and says, "What? Got who?"
And I described the sailor that was there before.
All right, come with us. And he gestures to you, and he turns to the two other guards that are with him, and he says, "Arms at the ready, lads." And they draw weapons as they approach. The dockmaster, seeing this happen, there is suddenly a few surprised sounds as the guards are hastily making their way along the dock, and the dockmaster sees them approaching. Are you following them?
I am, but stealthily. I don't want to be seen
Okay, roll
by
me
the
stealth.
dockmaster. Natural 20.
Okay. Are you going to ask Sagona to be stealthy?
I'm gonna tell Sagona to just stay where she is.
She frowns and doesn't. She doesn't immediately follow, but she does hang back a ways as the guards approach.
Right, that's fine.
As the guards approach this man, the lead guard, a lieutenant by the looks of it, shouts orders at the dockmaster. "Stop! You there!" And the dockmaster, looking alarmed, turns. And with that high perception roll of a 15, you catch just a red fleck of blood on his lip as he wipes it away. As the guards are approaching him, the dockmaster protests in saying, "What is this all about, then?" Before he can actually finish getting that sentence out, one of the other guards, a young woman in the same armor, has what looks like a scroll out, and she's casting a spell. Roll me an Arcana. I realize you're not proficient in Arcana, but if you roll well, you might get an idea of what she's casting.
Nope, not one.
Okay, that's a no. You have no idea what she's casting. But it's all happening very quickly. And as it happens, the guard finishes casting the spell, and there is this wave of energy that emits from her. And then she turns to the guard captain, and she nods. And the guard captain surges forward, basically trying to clap the dockmaster in irons, and says, "You are under arrest for evidence proving that you are, in fact, a doppelganger." And there is an immediate struggle as suddenly a fight breaks out. As the dockmaster, quote unquote, does not want to be locked up, it seems. Do you join the fight, or do you let the guards handle it?
I will stand back and be ready to do something if he gets away.
Okay.
But until that, the guards can handle this.
I am rolling some rolls here to see how they do. Okay, the guard rolled a natural 20. And the dockmaster rolled a 6. Alright, it's over quick. The dockmaster tries to break free, but the guard captain is too quick and ready for him. And even as the dockmaster suddenly begins to change form into a monstrous creature, he is already bound with chains around his limbs. And as he is bound up, you see this dockmaster, its mouth is like split too wide into too many teeth. And before anything else can happen, the guards have shoved a bag over his head. And as quickly as it began, the situation is handled. And as they are hauling them away, the lieutenant, looks to you and Sagona, or rather, just looks at Sagona, doesn't know where you went because you rolled a natural 20. And he says, "Well done. Our commendations to the Academy," as they are hauled away.
Now, my goal here is to kind of spook Sagona as I'm just like right next to her, and I go, "Thank you."
I'm going to roll perception for Sagona, but you rolled super high and she rolled a 5. She raises the flanged mace and an instinctive "Ah!" as you have startled her. And when she sees it's you, she says, "You son of a..."
What?
Oh, forget it.
No, but really, thank you. You were a tremendous help today.
You're welcome. Fuck. I've not seen any a monster like that before.
Right, and now I'm kind of glad that we didn't try to apprehend him ourselves.
Aye, that could have ended badly.
This is just another reason why you shouldn't always jump the gun.
All right,
Shall we head back?
You proved your point. Yes, let's go talk to Persh.
And we head back.
All right, as you are back on the road back toward the Merryguard Academy, once again, I need you to roll me a d8.
Be it. Tree.
Again, it is quiet. There are no random encounters for you on the way back to the Merryguard Academy.
Lame.
That's how it goes sometimes.
I know it is.
When you get to the Merryguard, it only took you about an hour and a half to 2 hours to handle the situation. As such, when you step up to the counter, Persh is actually having a conversation with the town guard. And as you enter, the town guard looks back towards you and says, "All right, they were awful quick, weren't they?" And Persh looks over at you two, and then at the town guard and says, "Aye, I was just receiving the report. Well done.
Thank you.
As such, as is the nature of free agency, the rest of the day is yours." And Sedona says, "Fantastic! I'm gonna go get fucked up." And she immediately turns around and walks out the front of the academy.
Alright, Push, do you know if the, bards are having a class today?
The bards have a class every day. Why?
Right. I was just wondering. Thank you.
Really? And as you finish your conversation, the guard signs a piece of parchment, nods to you, and leaves the Merryguard. So what do you do?
This may be super unconventional, but I want to go to my classroom.
Do you want to go to the Ariakas Sanctuary? Okay.
I sure do.
All right. Hold on. As you enter Ariakas' sanctuary, you find Ariakas and Wash training. And by that I mean, you see Ariakas standing by as Wash is performing an acrobatics training, similar to ones you've done before. She has one foot on a post, while the other is held up next to her, and you can see that she is sweating and shaking, as she's been doing this for a while, it seems. As you enter, Ariakas looks to you and says, "Your duty is finished."
It is.
Then you have the day to yourself and you return here.
Right. I was, if it was alright with you, hoping to do a little bit more exploration.
Ah. You are free to wander my class as you choose. But be careful.
Well, and I'm going to attempt to go back to the shrine of Myriad.
Okay. That was it was a few hours to get there, if you recall.
I do.
But yeah, you totally can. You have plenty of time. You are going to make your way out far into the sanctuary, out in the temporal plane, as you head in the direction of Myriad's shrine. Roll me a perception or a survival. No, roll me a survival. This is a survival to get the same direction.
Oh god, 10.
10. You have the door giving you a point of reference always.
It's easy enough to head in the same direction. And you head out towards the shrine. It takes like 5 hours with that survival roll. As you do find yourself getting a little bit confused. Even though you've been in this area before, it is still not perfectly familiar territory. Eventually, you leave the edge of the moss forest out into the flatlands where you find the Shrine of Myriad. It is exactly as you've left it.
Right. I don't remember exactly. I just touched it last time, right? And that's when he appeared? Or...
You put a coin in it, if I believe.
right,
correctly.
okay. And there's like a bowl, correct?
Yes, there is a bowl.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out my water skin and offer it a little water this time. Kind of refresh it.
Okay, yeah, you fill the bowl with water. You watch as the water pours into the bowl, and then you can almost watch it evaporate. The level of water disappearing.
And I'll just sit here and wait.
Okay, I'll make a roll. What are you thinking while you're sitting here?
I'm thinking, is this right? I did something like this last time. Maybe water's not good enough. Does he need something else, or was it a special occasion, or just all these kind of different things on what I need to do to maybe see him again?
As you are sitting there and thinking these thoughts, you suddenly hear, "Oh, did you have more questions?"
Oh,
You
maybe
suddenly
questions.
see the masked visage of Myriad standing opposite you on the shrine, right behind it.
I wouldn't say. Well, in a sense, it's more questions. But I guess what I'm really after is more knowledge than anything. Like, of course, I have questions about how certain things work and all these other things, but more so, I just kind of wanted to talk to you, pick your brain.
I admit I am curious of you as well. An altruistic white dragon. Rare. Almost unheard of. Why?
Ever since I was young, like really young, I've had this, I guess you could say, hunger for something more. What my parents wanted and what they did and what they thrust upon me just wasn't enough. It didn't feel right. Sure, they're strong and they can have whatever they want and they take from the weak, but what is that really in the end? Trinkets, trophies that they sit upon and look at? I want something more useful.
Are those that say they see as weak the same as the ones you see as weak?
Far from it. I don't think they're weak at all. I think
right.
people who bully the weak are the true weak.
Luxunvur. Ask. Maybe I will answer.
Where are you from? How did you become?
I was conceived by the mourning of a goddess now extinct.
What goddess?
Avandra.
Does Luxunvur know of Andra?
No.
Uh, who is Avandra?
She was a goddess of change. A goddess of new worlds and rebirth. But she was betrayed. And in so, a world was created. In that world, I was born. Born of her tears.
Is that this world?
No. That world is no more, though relics of it can be found here.
Huh. You could just see like the look of like him pondering, just of another world that no longer exists. How how did that world come to an end?
It fell. It fell an impossible distance, burying itself in the crystal ocean of your world.
Hmm. And what is your role here? Just this plane?
This is comfortable for me, as my world no longer exists. This is a close second.
Do people outside of the temporal plane know who you are?
I have followers. A few that sing the praises of the god of thought and wonder. Not many.
That's sad.
Is it? I am not
Thought
sad.
should. I know you're not sad. I find it sad that more people don't worship thoughts and ideas more.
Myriad doesn't say anything to that.
What do you do in your free time?
I watch. I watch and learn as mortals explore. Their imaginations grow wild. For some whose imaginations grow dark and frightening, I try to guide them back into peace and tranquility. But some fight it, or don't want what I offer.
How often do you get visitors? I guess visitor isn't the right word. How often do you talk to people? Like you are to me?
Every once in a while. It has been a quiet 20 years.
You've only been here for 20 years?
I have been here for 3,089 years.
Then do you just mean the last 20 have been quiet?
That was the last time someone reached out to me.
I tried reaching out to you this morning, but I guess I didn't do it right.
I
This
apologize.
is...
I was eating.
Oh, so you did hear me.
I do.
I'm not upset that you didn't reply, I just didn't know if you heard me.
I do have the whole web of the world to pay attention to.
Of course, I'm not saying I'm special.
No. You have not even pledged allegiance or a vow of following to me. You are curious, which I respect.
Allegiance is earned, and while
I do not give it freely.
right.
Were you to ask me for the mantle of my powers, I don't know that I would accept it.
I don't think I want the mantle of your powers. I just... there's something about talking to you that is comforting. If that makes sense.
I find speaking with me very comforting as well.
Would you have a problem if I visited again?
No. It is a notable milestone in a timeline of emptiness.
Alright then. That is all the questions I have then, and I shall see you again soon.
Farewell, Luxunvur.
Until next time, Myriad. And, just go. I get up and walk back.
The instant you break eye contact with the cloaked, masked figure, he is gone.
Luxunvur is very content. He just has the biggest grin on his face as he now has information he didn't have before.
Okay. You make your way back, walking directly toward the sensation of where the door to the room is. And with such a guiding light as that, it is easy to do so in good time, and you make it back within 3 hours.
Are Iriakis and Wash still there, or are they gone?
I'm doing math. No, Iriakis would be meditating still. Iriakis would be at the doors. Wash is gone, as is Kyo. You haven't seen Kyo in a couple days.
Yeah, I forgot he was a thing until you just said something.
Oh, well, yes, he is a thing.
If Iriakis doesn't say anything to me, I'll just head out.
I mean, he would greet you. He would say,
Oh.
Levi, was your explorations fruitful?
Very much so. I'm beginning to like my new friend.
Iriakis does not say anything. He simply nods and continues looking out the doors.
Have a good rest of your evening, Iriakis.
You as well.
And I'll head out and probably head to the cafeteria because I'm fucking starving.
Okay. Let us see. Oh, let us see what Chow is at the moment.
I would also be looking around the cafeteria to see if there's anyone else in there.
Roll me a d12.
Five.
Roll me a perception check.
All right. Why did you laugh?
You'll see.
Maybe. 15?
Today's meal is a helping of pasta in a cream sauce with what looks like lots of chicken and vegetables assorted into it. It is delicious and well made, and from eating it you gain 8 temporary hit points.
Ooh, yeah.
As you sit down to enjoy it, sorry. As you sit down to enjoy it and you're getting comfortable, what is something that would be on your belt?
Probably a row of darts.
Okay. In the middle of your meal, you were enjoying the quiet and maybe the remembering of the conversation you had with Myriad, when one of your own darts punk, into the table right in front of you.
What? I'll just kind of look around.
Sitting directly across from you at the table is a purple-skinned tiefling.
Oh, again.
Yeah. You see Skulna is across from you.
Oh. Welcome back, Skolna. Didn't see you.
She nods and has her own plate of pasta. You see that she has eaten maybe a quarter of it and is currently picking at her teeth with another one of your darts.
How many of my darts did you take?
She shrugs and then holds up 3 fingers, upon which she coins another dart that's between her fingertips and sets it on the table in front of you.
You can keep the one in your teeth. Consider it
She,
personal toothpick.
she smiles around the dart and continues to pick.
So how was your class today?
She shrugs and kind of tilts her head. Maxwell doesn't mess around.
He seemed like, Maxwell was the one who did the, who was in the gear room when I got my stuff,
Yep,
right?
that was Maxwell.
Yeah, he seems like, it's really hard to read him, actually. I don't really know what he's like.
She nods.
Yeah, you too, huh?
Yep. Knows what he's doing, though.
I'm sure he does. I don't think you can become an instructor here unless you do.
Good point.
Have you spoken with any of the other instructors besides Maxwell?
She kind of tilts her head.
Is that a no?
Why would I?
I mean, I have a plethora of knowledge that can be useful in any situation.
She raises an eyebrow at you. You learn more by what people don't tell you.
Not always. How often do you see Tabernacle?
She shrugs.
Can't learn something from someone you can't see. And if you don't interact with the others who've interacted with him, you can't learn that way either.
She kind of does this gesture where she waggles her fingers. Realizing that didn't get the point across, she drops her hands onto the table and she says, I don't do magic.
You don't have to do magic. I don't do magic either. That seems my point was lost, but it's alright. I'll go, what do you think that is? And I'll point behind her. And as she looks, I'm going to try to stealth and just, like, vanish away. Like, leave.
Roll me a deception and then roll me a stealth.
Oh god, please let the deception work. I need both of these to work, actually. 13 on deception.
Okay. And stealth?
24 on stealth.
Roll me perception as well.
Perception. Fucking Christ, 10 perception.
Okay. You feel as though you got away clean as she turns around and you dip away from the table. When you look back, she's not there either. Where do
fair
you
played.
go now that you've snuck away?
I head back to my dorm, in my room.
Okay. As you return to your dorm, right before you go through the door, your third dart into the door frame next to your door.
I turn around and look.
Well, roll me a perception.
Fucking hell.
She has a disadvantage on stealth because she did just throw a dart.
22.
Okay. She rolled a 21.
Whoa!
Battery low.
You see Skolna stands at the edge of the door frame. Her hands are behind her back, and she has a small half smile on her face. When you make eye contact with her, she kind of dips her head in a nod and disappears around the corner.
I like her.
Charging
And with
battery.
that, I'm gonna head to bed.
And as you head to bed, that is where we will end tonight's episode.
Hell yeah. That was a great session.
I'm glad you had a good time, and thank you for playing with me. I look forward to next week. All right.
Yeah.
GG.
Alright, man. I'll catch you later. Peace.
Peace.